Well, here it is, the 9th of January, and season ends tomorrow for the general deer season, archery season. And what I want to do, I want to film a field that doesn't have any trees on it, the bean field. I want to use this steel stake, this piece of wood. It's going to go onto the stake. Then I'll clamp the camera to this piece of wood where I think the deer will be feeding at. That way it'll give me an idea somewhat what was left over from the general season, and maybe I can see some antler being shed. And it's pretty simple. It doesn't cost much. Just like I say, it's just one of these garden stakes and like a small piece of wood, and I'll just zip tie it on there. So I'll get it going here real quick. We'll just drill 4 holes in this piece of wood and put 2 zip ties, one up here and one down there. It's not rocket science by any means. Something to do when the temperature's 8 degrees low and you're bored, but it really does work good. I've done this before, and the results are really good. Just clamp this to that stake. And it doesn't have to be precise. Now that the holes are drilled into it, I can take a zip tie. You want to get a good heavy zip tie. And what I'll do is this zip tie will go through these holes and around this post. And it's nice, I'll put it on the top one because it's got a hanger on it. So it'll hang on that one. And the bottom one's pretty close too. So that you can get them to hang on both those hangers that are popped out there. So they're on there real secure. But what I gotta do is I gotta grind 2 spots in here. I have to grind 2 spots in here, which doesn't take long, so that the strap of the camera will notch into there. And I can do that on my grinder, and it only takes a second or 2. This whole thing is pretty simple, and like I say, just turning into something that will work for you. Now what I'll do, I'm going to grind a notch here and a notch there. So when I put the camera on, the belt will be attached to this board. So it don't take long. Get 1 notch ground in there, then you want to find another notch right parallel with it. Now you got those 2 notches ground in there. What we'll do got some big zip ties. Don't go with little ones. And come in from the back side so that you don't have that big bump there. You don't want this sticking on the side of the camera. Anyway, we're moving right along. Now you go on the flat side of the bar. See, this has got the hooks on it. So you go on this side. You slide that in there. You hook that into that notch. Pull it real tight. Now you've got that where you want it. Anyhow, you could have made this a little lower and you would have picked most of them up, but this is all right. This will work just fine too. I've used it before like that. So anyhow, well, there again, going too fast. You get that in there, and you got it zipped down tight. Cut them off, because you don't need those. And there's your bracketry. And now, like I said, all you have to do is take a camera and get it fit over your spaced out. Get it fit onto that. Oh, that goes down into those notches, like I said, and then you just tighten it up, and you pull it tight up against your board. Well, you got to pull on it, but there you go. Now you got a field camera ready for operation. No problem. This extra strap, you can wrap it around the top. It just helps possibly secure it on there. But make sure that this end is not to where, you want to make sure it's short enough to where it doesn't flop around in front of the camera and you get 100 pictures of a flap flopping. So you make that, just tie that off on the back. And there you go. All you have to do now is get it in the ground. Now, one thing about getting it into the ground is you don't want to beat this piece of metal into the ground with the camera on it, because the ground is froze. And what you may want to do is take a screwdriver and beat it into the ground where you're going to put that and try to break that cap of frost so that you can get it pounded down to this bracket so it won't flop around. But don't beat on this with the camera hooked onto it, because there's some pretty good frost out in the fields right now, and you may miss and hit the camera, or you could make the camera malfunction. So just make sure that you have the camera off, pound it down on the ground in the direction you want, then strap the camera to it. But don't beat on this with the camera on it. Well, we'll show you how that works in the field, and I have those time-lapse cameras that send it right back to my house, so it sure saves a lot of scouting time and a lot of highway and gas. Like I say, it'll give you a documentation of what's going on in an open area. Well, that's it from the non-typical, and we'll get this put in the ground here in an hour, and we'll film that and show you how it works. I think I'm going to set my camera up looking straight north. That way the sun doesn't get in it in the evening or in the morning. You got to remember, you want to set those cameras when the sun's at its back, and if you don't, you'll get a lot of false images. So let's see if we can get a camera set up in this ground in here. Remember, don't have your camera on here. Yeah, that's going down pretty easy. That went down really easy. Drive it down to it. Now, that ought to be pretty nice. That ought to hold it. Plus, we've got that scrub tree right behind it to help break up the silhouette of it. And now we'll go get the camera and get it installed on there. They hang right there. That'll keep the camera from moving. Okay, we're getting the camera mounted up, and it's really windy today, so we're having a hard time with the audio. But you want to make sure you got the camera on real secure, because it's out in the wind, and you don't want to have any brush flashing across it or weeds. So you want to pull weeds out around the camera so it don't take 100 pictures of a weed blowing in the wind, or a tree branch. So we'll cut some of the limbs off. So this here, and I'm going to use for a brace to make it more at an angle, because it's not really level. I could push the pole back. I might try that. I'll see how this works. And if it's not level enough, I'll just push the steel post back a little farther, bend it backward so I can get it, make sure it's level and it's shooting out into the bean field, because you don't want it to just be shooting 10 feet away from the camera. But you got to make sure you also get that strap real secure, so that it don't get flapping in the wind and you get a million pictures of a strap flapping. But mainly, I could have probably put that in one of those trees, but I'd had to clean off a bunch of branches. So this stake idea is where you don't have any trees, but you've got a food source. And so it really comes in handy. It takes the place of a tree where there are no trees. You know, we got it going. We'll get it fired up, and there, like I said, I pushed the pole back a little bit to get a little more yardage, you know, covered, and get it turned on, get it activated, and she should be ready to go to start to take pictures. And like I say, you can see the weeds blowing, but I didn't have any blowing across the front of the camera to activate it. And that strap, make sure it don't get loose, because it'll blow up there and then it'll be like a horse's tail flying in front of the camera all day long. So, but just trying to show you something where you can mount your camera without a tree. And you see that cedar tree behind me, I would have had to cut a bunch of branches off the front of it to mount the camera. This way was in a bare spot at a crossing on the fence. So my idea of a good spot. Well, time will tell how it worked out. But, we'll let it go with that. We'll sit back and watch the results later on in the day. Good trail coming up from there, and the main trail coming up there. And this comes to a point, and you can see how they got this beat down right through here to get to this bean field. Now, there's a lot of beans out there. You can see where I walked. That's why I say, and you can tell if the deer are moving at evening, if the track is muddy, because it'll leave a track like that mud track right there. But if the ground's froze at nighttime, it won't. But there's a lot of beans out here for them to graze on. And like I said, this is a good point where they can come out of the timber, stay behind these weeds that I let go for cover, and get on out. Well, here it is, 11:55, a day later. And you've seen the deer out there in those beans. And that center tree right out there, that's where that camera is. And I got to get out of here because it's starting to thaw out. And you can see the mud on my tires. So I better get rocking and rolling. Yeah, I could have hunted today, but the bucks that I seen on camera aren't worth shooting. They need another year or two to grow. It was a bad year for big bucks, so I'll be shed antler hunting because I don't want to shoot a small buck that could be next year's trophy buck. But I gotta get back down on solid ground. Well, that's it from Minot Typical. 11th day of January. And boy, we got the beans. I was up here the other day putting this camera up, but I'm back up here today because, like an idiot, I only only had 20% charge in the battery, but you've seen some of the deer. So we'll get the new batteries in, and those deer were really flocking to these lanes. And they're still carrying the racks, and that's the main thing I wanted to know. So let's get over here and change these batteries. Might as well have the camera running, because I only said it had 20% in this camera, and that's why I wasn't taking any pictures. But boy, that first night it did. So much for human scent. They were walking right where we put the camera up. Now let's get new batteries in there. All the lights come on. It just went off. Let's do it one more time. Now you can see all the lights are on. There goes the connecting light. So, it should be connecting. That'll be going out in a little bit. Yeah, boy. Technology, but this technology is good because it sure saves me a lot of time to have the gas and the mileage. And you can get the scent right to your house instantly. It really makes it fun. There it says it's connected, and so we're ready to go. I might hit this connect button. That's just there. That'll take a self-image of me waving at you all for whatever that's worth. It should go out in a minute. But at least to know it's connected and up and operating. It's 12:44. So we'll see how long it takes for scent to have any repercussions on this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do something. I'm going to put this glove on this stalk. Now there's the glove right there. I'm going to zip tie that glove on there so the wind can't blow it off. Just have a little green zip tie go around that glove, and we just want to see the reaction of the deer. There, now it's zip tied on, and I'm going to step that off from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 24 paces to that glove, and we'll see how the deer react to it. And this is a learning process. I just want to see if they'll turn it inside out or accept it and go on. But, you never know what you want. So the season's over. So we can try something like that. Like I say, there's the glove. Well, that's it. Let's see what happens. We've got new batteries in that camera and that glove out there. Well, you'll be entertained to see what's going on. Okay, that's it.